Кто еще не подписан на
Hidden
мой
within the
канал,
leaves and branches
подписывайтесь
of this
и ставьте
inconspicuous
лайки.
tree
А кто
were
подписан,
tons
нажимайте
and
колокольчик,
tons
чтобы
of
приходили
wild
уведомления
Asian
о моих
weaver
видео.
ants. In fact,
Приятного
if you weren't
просмотра.
looking carefully, you could almost miss them. Now, if you know your ants, you're well aware that these girls are not ants to mess with. Each one of these ants are super aggressive, armed with powerful mandibles and a formic acid spray, as you can see them shooting here, that can leave a painful sting if sprayed into even the shallowest of bites. I love these ants, but they definitely demand respect when approaching them or coming close to their nests, which they defend aggressively. I definitely took a few bites filming this video, due to getting too close. They even attempted jumping out of the trees to get at me. Their vision is very good. Now, one thing you might notice is the workers come in different sizes. The ants don't start off small, then grow larger. Instead, each ant, once emerged from the pupal stage, remains the same size for the rest of its life. Small ants are born small, and large ants are born large. Some of the workers can be as small as half a centimeter long, while others as large as over 2 centimeters. Now let's talk about their amazing leaf nests. These ants are arboreal and create their nests within trees. There are actually several leaf nests in this tree. Here's one leaf nest, one here, and several others on this tree. As we saw in my previous weaver ant colony, the Emerald Empire, the ants create a single mother nest, then simply expand outwards with satellite nests. But what's most amazing is how the weaver ants actually create these nests. Check this out. First, before a leaf nest is even made, worker ants scout out potential spots in the tree by simply hanging out, as you can see here. If many ants start finding these designated hangout places favorable, then the nest building process begins. First, you have the workers that act as brace ants. They pull the edges of leaves together, which takes a lot of leg and jaw force. Weaver ants are probably some of the strongest ants I know, and I find their legs to be super sticky, like Velcro. Then, when leaf edges are brought close enough together, other ants, which I like to call gluer ants, come along and use their larvae to excrete silk from their mouth parts to essentially create silk walls which harden and keep the leaves bound together. Isn't it cute watching them use their own young like glue bottles? It's how these weaver ants get their name, as the ants seemingly weave the leaves together. It's actually an amazing evolutionary process, as these ants have over millions of years in their evolution completely forfeited their use of silk, which was initially designed for cocoon spinning like in other ants, but has since evolved in its functionality as a building material for their leaf nests. Furthermore, what makes these leaf nests even more amazing is that the leaves of these nests remain alive for a while, which means the living plants themselves still respire and transpire. So all the leaves of these nests are constantly releasing fresh oxygen produced from photosynthesis and water vapor from transpiration. Can you imagine living in a home that is constantly and wonderfully oxygenated and humidified? Once the leaves die out, mostly from being bent out of shape or lacking sunlight from folding, the weaver ants just simply build a new leaf nest elsewhere. It's a great system, and truly an ant wonder. Up in the trees, the ants don't have to worry too much about certain problems ground-dwelling ants have to deal with, like floods, various toxins, fungi, or microbes in soils, and other ground-dwelling ant predators. But don't think for a second that these weaver ants have it easy. These ants and their nests need to be strong. Amazingly, the ants and their nests are strong enough to withstand the harsh weather conditions of the countries they're found in. They can withstand the scorching, drying heat of the day, but also the torrential storms. In fact, while I was at this farm, there was a crazy typhoon that rolled through, which was a terrifying experience. But this footage of these weaver ants was shot just the day after the typhoon. No devastation to their leaf nests, which was more than I could say about the coconut trees. Keeping these ants as pets is a bit of a challenge. First off, let's talk about weaver ant queens. The queen weaver ants are gorgeous and come in a variety of different colors, from gold to brown to blue-green to various combos of these in between. Though the queen ants are indeed impressive and generally easy to find during nuptial flight in their native habitats, getting successful weaver ant colonies to start from just a single queen ant is quite hard. After speaking with a myrmecologist friend of mine who studies ants of Southeast Asia, I learned it's suspected these ants are polygynous, meaning the colonies have more than one queen. But we aren't sure if pregnant queen ants come together after nuptial flights and start colonies cooperatively, or if mated queen ants simply return to their birth nests and simply branch off, or if the queen ants mate with males that fly and enter their nests. There are many possibilities, but if you ask anyone who's tried to start a colony of this species from just pregnant queens, they will tell you it's not an easy thing to do. They often die out after a few workers are produced. I suspect it has something to do with diet as well. Speaking of diet, these ants have an insane appetite and a very diverse palate. They need a lot of insects, and I mean a lot, and a good variety of them too. The protein from their insect prey supports the demanding silk production needed for their leaf nests. If you as an ant keeper ever slack on their food demands, they stop producing leaf nests, which could spell death for the colony. They also require a lot of sweets. They need the carbs to power the energy needed for leaf nest building and hunting. They need a good variety of sweet foods as well, and have been known to farm scale insects. As you can see here, the weaver ants aggressively defend their leaf insects, which produce sweet honeydew as a byproduct. Sometimes this is hard to replicate in a captive setting. Finally, keeping an actual large tree alive in captivity is also a bit of a challenge. And as the colony gets bigger and bigger, it becomes harder and harder to keep up with their demands. And if you ever slack on providing any of their requirements, they eventually deteriorate and die out.